I just watched Jennifer's body. So in the late 1000s, Megan Fox had a tiny little problem. She felt she was typecast as a sexy piece of eye candy, and it was getting in the way of people seeing her as a serious and talented actress. She was a fucking actress, goddammit! Like Meryl Streep, Jessica Lange, and the one that plays British royalty all the time. And it was time for the world to appreciate her God-given gift. So Fox teamed up with Diablo Cody, hip, witty ex-stripper voice of the youth who'd written the hit film Juno the previous year, to write her a role that would pull her out of this very unfair stereotype. And yeah, I'm doing that cryy thing they do in the K-pop videos as I say that. Yeah, that's right, girls. You dance it out. Oh wait, sorry, what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, right, sorry. So yeah, the result was Jennifer's body, but unfortunately all it was ever destined to do was cement Megan Fox's reputation as an airheaded and vapid spoilt brat with a fucking eating disorder. So without further ado, let's put on our most comfortable pair of long johns, pour a nice old capita of sherry, dim the Coleman kerosene lantern, and peer over the tops of our reading glasses to get a good old perv at Jennifer's body.
Say I want to do just my hip flexors or my buttocks even more. Right. I do what's called...
Okay, so despite the marketing campaign, I think it's pretty obvious that Jennifer's body didn't want to be porn. So what did it want to be then? You could try to claim it was trying to be this generation's Heathers. But to be honest, if that's the case, it's impossible to tell. When I turned to interviews with the cast and crew for some insights into the reason they made this shitty film, the term dark comedy keeps coming up. Okay, dark comedy. Maybe it's funny to some people, and it's certainly dark. You know, in the same way a Scooby-Doo episode is dark. It has some ghosts and ghouls and stuff in it, but it's pitched at the intellectual level of a 6-year-old, so you can't really take it seriously. The only difference is Scooby-Doo is a cartoon, so it's okay that it's cartoon-ish. Jennifer's body has no excuse.
I say fuck 'em. Because they don't know shit.
The other thing the creators keep rabbiting on about is giving Megan Fox a chance to show her acting chops in a female empowering role.
Right.
So the cheerleader outfit was empowering, was it? It shows she has the power to, to cheer whatever the hell she wants? And the lesbian scene, empowering her to kiss a girl for no apparent reason other than to inappropriately arouse teenage boys? Okay, wow, to think I was skeptical of feminism all this time. If that's how it works, you fucking go, girls. Empower each other's brains out. Woo! But there I go talking about hot girls and lesbians again, projecting my own sexual fantasies into a movie that was obviously trying to be a much more layered and subtle piece, right?
Do you hear me, you bastard? I'll cut off your nutsack and nail it to my door! Like one of those lion door knockers rich folks got!
But where, pray tell, is this other layer? As a critique of the vapid, shallow nature of high school teenagers, it's way too vapid and shallow itself to make a coherent point or serve as social commentary. I mean, yes, I see the role reversal. The women drive most of the action in the film, and the men are all stupid victims or evil rapists. But the women aren't all that special either. The movie is led by a vapid, airheaded hot cheerleader and a weak-willed, shrinking violet nerd who is bullied by the best friend she has a lesbian crush on. Both are as stereotypical and cardboard cutout as any screaming horror victim in a traditionally sexist horror film. To make fun of a trope, you have to rise above it. But despite the fast-moving hipster dialogue, and by the way, I've never heard anyone talk like that, Jennifer's body never rises above the level of B-grade sexploitation horror it seeks to parody. Look, I can understand why Diablo Cody got an Oscar for her Juno screenplay. In a world where most scripts are homogenized and uninspired, she stood out. She sounded different. But in the end, her fancy dialogue and made-up teenage slang are a novelty that could just never carry a story on its own. And make no mistake, that's what's missing from Jennifer's body. Story. You know, when I did my Mad Max review review, I think it bothered a few people that I said I wanted more story and character from an action movie. Who needs a story in an action film, right? Well, who needs a story in a teen horror flick? But I think underestimating the importance of story and the human experience is a fucking big mistake. Story is a part of our very fabric, infused in our very nature. When you meet a new person, it's always, hey, what's your story? Or when you meet a new dude who acts like a cunt, you say, what's his fucking story? We sit around campfires and tell them. Our kids demand to hear them before they go to bed each night. And then in turn, as kids, we make up our own. We've built massive libraries that house thousands of them, and borders, governments, and religions are all built around them, which means, in a sense, it's what we fight our wars over. Think about it. Why are conspiracy theories such a powerful way to wake people up and show them new possibilities about their reality? Because at the end of the day, true or false, they're stories too. Stories are important, whether you enjoy the one in Jennifer's Body or Mad Max or any of the other watered-down, sugar syrup-coated films we've covered on this channel. Spectacle could be fun, but it's a transitory experience. Good story stays with you, and it compels you to retell it until it spreads like a virus. It's almost as if story is a live organism, an energy that has a will and a charisma all of its own. You know what I did before I started this YouTube channel? I was a business analytics guru. My job was to take massive amounts of data and assemble, transform, and arrange it into a form that made sense. We've called this art form many things throughout the years, from business intelligence to data analytics to visualization to actionable insight. Do you know what the marketing geniuses are calling it now? Data storytelling. Because even those cynical fuckers know that the format of information that is most compatible to feed our mind's capability for understanding is exactly that. Story. We get nothing out of ones and zeros staring at screens of numbers, but I'll tell you what, you tell a good story and you've got something very special. You've got shared understanding. You know, I once read a crazy bunch of posts from an anonymous guy who claimed to be a high-level member of the Illuminati. I read his insane posts and I laughed. What a fucking nutter, right? But a few minutes later, I looked at my hand and it was trembling. My heart was beating faster and I couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Somewhere in the middle of all the insane claims this poster made, he said the Illuminati have an unnamed belief system that holds that our God, the God of this plane in which we all exist, wanted to know himself. So he split his consciousness into millions of pieces and scattered them around the universe to see if they could find their way back into a whole. He said we each carry a piece of that God consciousness inside us, and that we're all just seeking knowledge of ourselves, a group of lost, confused, sentient beings with self-inflicted amnesia. I know, it's all a little bit esoteric, but it's also a little bit beautiful. So why am I telling you this? Because I think it makes sense of this obsession we humans have with story. Hell, the meaning's contained in the word story, to store. Before we had floppy disks, before we had the printing press, maybe even before we had words, story was the only way we knew to store knowledge across generations. Story is the way we learn about ourselves. And what if that insane forum poster who thought he was an interdimensional member of the Illuminati, what if he's right? If we're little bits of God consciousness just trying to understand our own nature, then story is more than just a fun entertainment. It's the meaning of life. Jennifer's Body, I don't know, I'll give it a star. The lesbian scene was pretty hot. So if you like these videos, you're going to want to go ahead and click like and subscribe. The first one will give me an instant orgasm. The second will make sure you don't miss the next video. So click away. It's win-win.